If the story for Black women in 2025 was about a sudden spike, the story for Black men is about something perhaps even more frustrating: stagnation. Welcome back to the Black Metrics. We just covered the sharp rise in unemployment for Black women. Now, we need to look at the other side of the equation. We are analyzing the BLS data for Black men from January to August 2025. While the volatility wasn't as high, the structural gap remains stubbornly wide. Let's parse the numbers. In January 2025, the unemployment rate for Black men was 7.1%. Fast forward to August 2025. That number crept up to 7.6%. Now, you might say, 0.5% isn't a massive jump compared to what we saw with Black women. And you'd be right. Black women saw a 2.1% spike. However, context is everything. Let's look at white men over the same period. White men started the year at 3.4% and ended August at 3.9%. What does this tell us? Both groups saw a slight rise. But the gap, the disparity between the two groups, remained incredibly sticky. Throughout 2025, the Black-white unemployment gap for men hovered between 3.5 and 4 percentage points. It didn't explode, but it certainly didn't close. It is a persistent, structural weight on Black male economic power. Here is where the data gets interesting and slightly different from the women's data. When we looked at Black women, we saw employment levels actually drop significantly in the spring. For Black men, the employment levels were roughly flat to slightly positive year-to-date. This suggests that while Black men aren't losing jobs in a massive wave like the federal sector cuts we saw for women, they also aren't gaining ground. It's a state of economic limbo. We saw a dip in May, followed by a rise in unemployment into the late summer. This indicates that while the public sector cuts were the headline for women, Black men are likely facing headwinds in other sectors, potentially manufacturing or construction, which often drive these cyclical shifts. Why does this matter? Because flat employment in an economy that is dealing with inflation and cost of living increases is effectively a regression. If the number of jobs held by Black men isn't growing, but the population and costs are, the community's buying power is taking a hit. To summarize the first 8 months of 2025, Black women faced a specific, policy-driven crisis in the public sector. Black men faced a continued, systemic gap that refuses to close. Here at the Black Metrics, we separate the signal from the noise. The signal for Black men right now is one of stagnation. We need to see these employment levels break out to the upside to see any real narrowing of that 4-point gap. We'll be tracking the Q3 and Q4 numbers as soon as they drop. I'm Jabari. If you want the truth about the numbers, you're in the right place. Hit that like button to help get this data out to more people.